Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Can Shakir outsmart the pressure? Brains versus barrage of punches. Shakir Stevenson against William Zapeda. Now, somebody posted in one of the comments saying, man, you've been on Shakir. You haven't been giving him any credit. It just sounds like you have no faith in Shakir beating Zapeda. And to that I say in the most respectful way, to hold your horses and stop taking it to the stupid. I'm telling you in every video, every YouTube short, that I think Shakir Stevenson is an elite fighter, is a special fighter. But my thing is, how does he really keep a guy like Zapeda off of him? You know what I'm saying? I think you need power to keep a guy like Zapeda off of you. Now, the good thing about it is we get to find out in a couple of days, if I'm wrong or if I'm right. Well, I want to make sure it's crystal clear that I recognize that Shakir Stevenson is a talented fighter, but I also recognize that styles make fights. But to be fair to Shakir Stevenson, I do think he has strengths that can neutralize Zapeda. And I think all of that's going to be on full display, just like all the strengths that Zapeda has and bringing to the table that can really disrupt the rhythm of Shakir and have Shakir living in a nightmare. But the thing is about the elite defense. Look, some people have even gone on record and said Shakir Stevenson is better defensively than Floyd Mayweather. I think Sean Porter said something along those lines. Now to that I'll say, in the most respectful way to Sean Porter, is to hold your horses and stop taking it to the stupid. We know Shakir has the ability to make opponents miss and counter, but he ain't no damn Mayweather, all right? But when he counters, Shakir Stevenson's counters are very clean and very top tier, and he's going to need to be able to do that against Zapeda. But he's going to have to do it over and over and over to the point to where he can discourage Zapeda, kill his confidence, and have Zapeda reluctant to let his hands go. Shakir is a Southpaw technician. You're watching all his fights, most of his fights. He really doesn't get hit flush. But I do think Shakir Stevenson may foolishly stand his ground to let his hands go to prove that he's got power. And that's where shit can go left. But the bottom line is, if he can control his emotions, and even if he's having success, not try to trade punches with Zapeda, I think Shakir Stevenson, with his elite defense, can really make this fight interesting and could get him a step closer to victory. Then with ring generalship, sometimes it's hard to gauge ring generalship because if you don't know what you're looking for, you don't see it. But controlling the distance, Shakir Stevenson, you can see him moving around the ring. I've even joked and called him the boxer runner. But when he's doing that, that's ring generalship, moving around and then firing shots like a sniper to nullify the charge from his opponent, to nullify anything the opponent's doing and trying to cut the ring off and trying to close the distance to force an exchange. That's where Shakir, where he's moving around and you see him on his bicycle, the boxer runner is what I call it. He will set his feet and he will fire off like a sniper, but he's using that timing. So a lot of times when Shakir is moving around the ring, it's to evade danger, to evade trouble, but also to set traps. And once he gets on that fishing expedition, if he baits your ass in and you take the bait, Shakir Stevenson will make you pay. And I think if he can keep Zapeda turning and reaching, I think Shakir Stevenson is going to have some success at moments in that fight, and it could be more moments where he has success than not. But what we could see is somebody's gas tank could get drained. Now I'm gonna be honest with you. Zapeda trains to throw an abundance of punches every round, and especially the deeper the fight gets, the more punches he will throw. So I'm not sure if Shakir can drain Zapeda's gas tank, but he sure can frustrate him and sure can force him. Let me mute this. He can force him to kind of hold back on letting his hands go. Because I'm gonna tell you, this is just from like a lot of you, from being in the ring sparring and shit. If you got somebody who's timing you and hitting you, right, over and over and over, at some point you say to yourself, what the F? I keep getting hit. And it ain't about me, it ain't about you. But if you've ever sparred and you had somebody who, whether they had a longer reach or they were able to kind of time you a little bit, you got to figure that out. And once you figure that out, then you're good. But if Zapeda can't figure it out, and if he's as one-dimensional as people are saying, Zapeda's going to be in trouble. Then it comes down to if Shakir is able to show his defense throughout the fight, control the ring throughout the fight, slow Zapeda down somehow, then Shakur Stevenson can definitely start to invest in the body. I don't think he can come out early in the fight trying to invest in the body, because that's when Zapeda is the freshest, and all fighters, the first 3-4 rounds are dangerous. So Shakir trying to go to the body, unless he, times it good with the stab, jab, and all that, I think he could have success, but at the same time, I think he runs a risk early in the fight with getting his head taken off his shoulders. So this thing about Shakir being able to possibly stop Zapeda with body shots, I mean, who's Shakir Stevenson supposed to be now? The 135-pound Agit Caballero? I mean, get the hell out of here with that. What power does he have? And to be honest with you, let me stop taking it to the stupid. You don't need to have a lot of power to stop somebody with a body shot. You land that shit cleanly, their ass is in trouble. I remember I was sparring a guy. He had supposedly had all these. This was in Germany, man. This guy had supposedly all these accolades of the accomplishments he's had in the local area. We were on the Air Force base, but he was an Army guy, and supposedly fought on all these circuits around Germany. All these something European title, all this bullshit, amateur stuff. And I was just there, for about like 6 months. And I happened to go into the gym to play basketball and look for a speed bag, because on most military bases, they'll have a heavy bag and a speed bag. And I ran into a guy who said they spar. They box. So I'm like, cool, I'll come out there. So I went out there on the weekend. And so I was out there sparring with those guys, and of course, we had some pretty good sparring. I got my respect. But there was I don't know, maybe like 3 weeks later, I was sparring this guy, the little Army guy. And I probably weighed like 190 at the time. He was like, I don't know, 150. And he's coming out there and he's moving around and all these angles and shit, man. And I fought Southpaw. And anyway, I put it to you this way. I hit that dude, bing, and he fell down. And he got up. And I got confident. Now, of course, we're not trying to kill each other, but I did touch him and let him know, like, man, get your little ass out of here. Anyway, that joker hit me with a body shot right at the end of the last round. Hit me with a body shot. I was right in front of him, and he just dipped and just threw the right hand. He just threw it, and it landed cleanly. Now, I didn't show any reaction because I knew he hit me, but I didn't really feel anything. Anyway, the bell rang. They know, bing, 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 bing. And we touched gloves, and as I'm walking back to the corner, I just felt all the air just slowly leaving my body. It was a delayed reaction. And no one in that gym knew, I told this story before, that I couldn't breathe. So I was getting out the ring, and I'm trying to hide it in my face, and guys are trying to talk to me, and I just keep walking there was a door that led to the outside. So I just, bounced it, give them a little bounce with my glove, and I'll go outside. And when I got outside, I made sure no one was looking. I was out there gasping for air. So I can tell you, body shots don't need to be powerful. It's about really where you land them. So Shakir, being so precise with his timing, he could land something right on the button. Same way De La Hoya said Hopkins, he landed it right on the button. So Shakir could land some shit right on the button. And it could put Zapeda down for the count. Now, I'm not just saying this. I'm telling you from experience. I know what a body shot can do. I've done it to people in sparring as well, man. Especially, anyway, let me shut up before I start talking too much about me. It ain't about me. But just trust me, a body shot, especially a guy coming at you really aggressively, You time it, you can put him down. So with that being said, if we know these things about Shakir Stevenson, the defense, the generalship, the body punching, the timing, the accuracy, you got to say, well, Shakir should have the mental edge going into this, because the one thing that everybody keeps talking about Zapeda is the volume punching, the conditioning. But outside of that, no one's really talking about the things that I've been talking about. But so I think for Shakir, I think he definitely he's going into this fight with a mental edge, because he just, he wants to prove everyone wrong. Yeah, she criticizing me, saying I don't have no power, saying I basically can't box, I just run, saying I'm boring. Well, I'm going to show you the best version of myself. And at the end of this fight, all of y'all are going to be kissing my butt. Well, we're going to find out, because if Shakir can come out here and make Zapeda look amateurish with his quote-unquote Zapeda's one-dimensional style, well, I got to give Shakir all the credit in the world, because Zapeda's a volume machine. Excuse me. He has power. He's got a chin. 27 KOs in 33 fights, never been dropped. Pretty big deal. And again, it's Southpaw versus Southpaw, so you got two lefties in here going at it. As a result, it neutralizes some angles and makes timing more important. So when you think about lefty versus lefty, a lot of the angles and the advantages they have facing the orthodox fighter, that goes out the window. So now it kind of boils down to timing. And I'm telling you, even I know, if we're going to talk about timing, I mean, you got to give Shakir the upper hand there. So as a result, we could, plead our case of why Shakir Stevenson wins this fight. But again, with me, I'm still waiting to see the fight. I still feel Zapeda's going to win. But the more I look at it, it's like I try to be fair on my channel. I could see Shakir winning the fight, but he's got to fight the perfect fight, which we know Shakir can do it. An emotional Shakir can. The question is, can an emotional Shakir Stevenson do it? So let's see if he has some emotions under control, because he's got to start fast. I've said this in other videos. You can't sit there but your low volume punching self and think that that's going to be enough to win rounds against Zapeda. No, man, you got to start fast. You can't come out there trying to download that and figure things out. So Zapeda won't give you time to adjust. While you're sitting there thinking, he's punching. And as a result, you're getting bing-binged all up in your head. So Shakir's got to start fast, no downloading. He's got to make sure he's using angles and feinting. Even the feints don't always work against a guy like Zapeda. So he's going to have to make sure he's landing something on him. So the angles, feints, his timing, clean countering, but he's got to land. But even if he's doing that, if Zapeda's like, this guy is nothing for me to worry about with his punching power, Zapeda is going to steamroll him, man. He's going to just go at him. Now, in doing so, yeah, he can get caught with something. But again, if Shakir doesn't have the power, even with hitting Zapeda with a shot he doesn't see, I mean, what happens to Shakir? But we know Shakir is elite, so we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's going to be able to do all those things. And the one thing about Shakir, no matter how elite he is, he can't be on the ropes. He can't be on the ropes trying to fight off the ropes and doing all that bullshit. He can't come in there now and turn into a Ryan Garcia and decide all of a sudden he want to shoulder roll and Philly shell off the ropes and sit there, man, and be cute. And next you know, he turns his back in the fight. You can't do that. Stay off the ropes. I just think the ropes, I think that's bad medicine, because Zapeda thrives when he traps his opponent. If he traps you, he's going to unload. So Shakir's got to stay off those ropes, and it's pretty simple. He knows how to do it. Pivot, escape. If not, pivot, try to escape. If not, clinch. You know what I'm saying? Wrap him up. People say, oh, you can't clinch in boxing. Yeah. Clinching is part of boxing, so stop taking it to the stupid. And the most important thing is, even if he's on the ropes, when Zapeda opens up, Shakir's got to use that aggression against Zapeda, and he's got to land clean counters. And I just think when you think about that, I think Shakir Stevenson, has a really good chance of winning this fight, man, because Shakir's got to make him pay But Shakir can't get greedy. You know what I'm saying? If he has some success, he can't sit there and be like, oh, yeah. No, you got to be like, feet don't fail me now. Use that footwork to escape, reset, force Zapeda to reset and change and move his feet, and then bing him again. But Shakir's got to keep doing that, turning him, using angles, using feints, catching him. So maybe after round 5 or 6, Zapeda's punch output we're seeing is now down to maybe 30 punches around because he's like, shit, every time I do something, this man hits me. But again, I don't know how easy it's going to be for Shakir to do that, but it can be done. But it has to be the right fighter in front of Zapeda. So does Shakir have what it takes? I mean, yes, he's got to be willing to try to execute a winning chess match inside of a hurricane. And his pieces can't fall off the table because that's exactly what he's going to be doing. He's going to be trying to play chess with this inside of this hurricane Zapeda. And let me just tell you, that just ain't, it's just not going to be easy. Plus, I heard there was a Coach Panda and Shakir Stevenson know each other, something about the Olympics. Now, I don't know how true that is, but, I know it's for the most part, Jacob Panda isn't on Shakir's team. I don't think he even in the Olympics. I don't know if he's ever worked with Shakir, but someone posted in the comments that Panda is very familiar with Shakir because he worked with him in the Olympics. And I know Panda was one of the coaches on the Olympic team, but I don't know if he worked with Shakir Stevenson. So I'm not going to get into that. But what I will tell you is I do know that Panda has been vocal about wanting Zapeda to face Shakir Stevenson. But yeah, I couldn't find anything to say that he's worked with him. But what I will tell you is Zapeda and Panda makes for a very effective style because Coach Panda, man, he's one of them coaches that likes that aggressive style of fighting. You would think that a guy like Deontay Wilder would be good with him. You look at Suber Matias, he was with Panda. He's another one of those guys that's just on you. You know what I'm saying? All pressure, high output offense. And that's what Zapeda brings to the table. So you think about Shakir Stevenson, it just creates to me like this fascinating chat on boxing philosophies of who wins and why and how. And that's why when I do videos, I kind of give you both sides of the argument. One day I'll talk about one guy winning, the next day I'll talk about his opponent winning. But I do think when you look at Coach Panda and Zapeda, and they're knowing just how brilliant Shakir Stevenson is, I do think that they're saying, okay, how effective is my style as a coach going to be against this maybe, generational talent in Shakir Stevenson? Because Coach Panda's style, from what I'm seeing just with Matias and Zapeda, and I know Matias doesn't train with him anymore, but he's all about relentless volume. You know what I'm saying? It's not really about precision with him. It's more about pace. Making sure his fighters can throw 100 punches around from the first second of the first round to the last second of the last round. He's more of a pressure-centric strategy guy. He's all about, the pressure, the punching, and just letting your hands go and keeping the guy who's the boxer with the high IQ, keeping him thinking so much to where he can't get his shots off, and next thing you know, it's too late, the fight's over. And I think it's possible for Zapeda to get in there and to make it uncomfortable for Shakir Stevenson to breathe. But one thing for sure we know is Shakir Stevenson doesn't get tired either. He has great legs, great footwork, and I just think it's going to be really interesting to see if fatigue does set in. Does it set in physically or mentally for Shakir or for Zapeda? Because both guys are bringing something very interesting to the table. And then, again, when it comes to Coach Panda and his strategies, he knows what his fighters are up against. He knows what they're up against with Shakir. But he's really all about drilling his fighters to maintain pressure deep, late in the fight. And he knows when you're dealing with an evasive fighter like Shakur Stevenson, that's the key. But Shakir Stevenson also knows that. That's why you listen to Shakir Stevenson. He'll tell you, man, we know what Zapeda's going to do is just pressure a lot of punches. And he said that's just not going to work against him. And he knows they're going to try to break his rhythm. So it sounds to me like Shakir, same way he gets in the ring and he's counterpunching, it sounds like he and his coach are putting counters in place into their boxing, into their fight strategy to ensure whatever that Zapeda and his team are looking to bring to the table, that they have answers for. So I think it's cool because Shakir really is playing the matador, and he's going to be in there trying to defend against a stampede of punches coming from Zapeda, man. So we'll see how it all sorts out, but it's just a real interesting fight. And even for me, it's like, can a defensive-minded fighter who just really all defense, not really trying to let his hands go, his first inclination isn't letting his hands go, it's to defend and not get hit. You know, can they really win against a guy who's all gas, no brakes, nonstop pressure, and letting their hands go? You know, they can win. They can win because, like a lot of you have mentioned, those damn hair in my mouth, man. Those aggressive fighters, they create a lot of counter-punching opportunities for a high defensive fighter like Shakir Stevenson. And I just think, I know Shakir is going to capitalize a lot with sharp counters, but for me it comes back, what about the power? The ring control of these defensive fighters, using the footwork to control the space, pivoting away from the pressure, resetting the action, using the angles, turning their opponent. I just think it ends up causing a guy like Zapeda, who may be used to coming straight forward and having his way, it's going to cause him to reset and start to chase. And if Shakir can get him to start to chase him around the ring, then that means Zapeda is going to fall into the trap, and he could get hit with something. And again, I think Shakir's got enough power that if he could catch Zapeda chasing him and use his momentum against him by land a clean shot at the same time, you could see Zapeda go down for the first time in his career. But if Zapeda's chasing him, but the conditioning he has is so freakish, but I got to think about, like, you know, how energy management plays into this for Shakir Stevenson and for Zapeda. Most fighters who have that aggressive style, like Gary Antoine Russell, he has a super aggressive style. But even if you watch him, he starts to get tired and kind of falls apart a little bit, but he's still punching. But you can see he's not as clean. He could tend to get a bit sloppy the later the fight goes, but he's still punching. Zapeda still always looks clean. He looks crisp. He looks sharp, and he never looks fatigued. You know, Gary Antoine Russell, you can see that he starts to get a little bit tired, but he's still punching. Zapeda never looks tired, and he never looks like he's falling apart and unraveling in the ring, even though he keeps throwing. Zapeda, the way he looked in the last round, how he looked in the damn first round. So although those aggressive styles burn stamina fast, and it does show up in those aggressive fighters, it just, to me, that shit doesn't show up in William Zapeda. But if a guy like Shakir Stevenson can stay composed, well, then now you got an opportunity where he can, again, look to make Zapeda miss. And Shakir could take over those later rounds because he stayed composed, he stayed calm. Even when you're stressing out mentally, that affects your body. And Shakir is able to really stay calm under pressure. And in the later rounds, if he's able to do that throughout the whole fight and just touch up Zapeda enough, I think you could see Shakir really, in the later rounds, the championship rounds, really put his foot on the gas pedal and pick it up and have some success. And if he's able to do that, you could see Zapeda becoming mentally frustrated because even when Tevin Farmer dropped Zapeda, that messed with Zapeda. You know what I'm saying? It messed with him. So that let me know that Zapeda is human. He's a human hurricane. So if Shakir Stevenson can somehow have a guy like Zapeda feeling like, man, my aggression isn't working. Coach Panda, this shit ain't working. This guy who's supposed to be pillow-fisted, who's supposed to be an easy victory for me, the guy who was crying after the Olympics for winning silver, he's whipping my ass, sir. Que paso aquí? I think that could mentally frustrate the shit out of Zapeda. So again, Shakir's he can do it. And if Floyd Mayweather can do it against Maidana, the first and second fight, but Floyd is Floyd, then why can't Shakir do it? Because it's very similar, style of fighting. You know what I'm saying? Floyd made adjustments to pressure. Shakir's gonna have to make adjustments to pressure. Then Floyd, really started picking Maidana apart. Shakir's is gonna have to figure out a way to do the same thing. Kind of like how when he fought Valdez, Valdez came forward all night, although it was at 130 pounds, but Shakir's defense and timing made Valdez look one-dimensional. And this is, I think, what Shakir's counting on. He's saying, hey, Zapeda ain't nothing but another Valdez for me. I'm just fighting at 135, but it's another Mexican fighter, Mexican style. No brains, no intelligence, just balls and fists. And Shakir Stevenson sounds like he's ready to handle them balls and fists. Anyway, but I'll say Zapeda is a unique challenge, man. He's not just aggressive. He's relentless. He's got IQ. Man was an Olympian. Uses angles, uses feints. He got great footwork. Uses pressure, cuts the ring off. And he's looking to tranquilize you, destabilize you. He's looking to turn you into a mannequin. He doesn't give a shit. His thing is to put you in the dirt. And I just think you got to understand that Southpaw stance and solid chin of Zapeda. Shakir Stevenson, if I know it, Shakir Stevenson knows it. And I think Shakir is really going to look to outsmart Zapeda. All that stuff about that Zapeda brings to the ring, I think Shakir is like, all right, he's got it. I'll give him that, but he doesn't have this. And if he does, he doesn't have as much as I have. I got more brain, I got more IQ, and it's going to show up on fight night. So yes, a defensive fighter like Shakir can win against an aggressive fighter like Zapeda. But you can't just come in and looking to survive against Zapeda and think you're going to win. You're going to have to fight him. And I think Shakir Stevenson is going to, in spots, let his hands go and fight him because he will have to. If not, he's not going to be able to keep Zapeda off of him. So look for Shakir Stevenson to disrupt, to punish, and then to adapt and adjust inside that ring. Because that's what he's going to have to do to get the victory, in my opinion. I think it's disrupting the rhythm and the game plan of Zapeda. I think he's going to have to punish him when Zapeda gets overzealous and Shakir times him and hits him with clean counters. And I think Shakir's going to have to be able to adapt to the pressure and to the moment and then make adjustments during the fight to ensure he stays a step ahead of William Zapeda. And if he can do that, then look, the slick defending boxer is going to be able to get away from them punches and a storm of gloves that's coming at his ass. And Shakir is going to get that victory. So anyway, man, very, very excited about this fight. To see if Shakir can do what he did to Valdez, man. And against Valdez, man, it was a unanimous decision. Even Valdez knew he lost. But it just controlled the distance. He had, counter-punching precision, defensive mastery, and he stayed under composure while he was in the fire. So if he can do that against Zapeda, I'm telling you, man, I'll be doing videos like Shakir for president. I'll be doing all kind of videos praising him because I just think this is a real fight for Shakir Stevenson, just like it is for Zapeda. But this is a real challenge against a guy people say has no power. And I just think Floyd Mayweather had power. Shakir Stevenson at 130 was definitely his power showed up. But at 135, the power to me is just not really there. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have some pop. It's just as you move up in weight, these guys you're fighting are much bigger, and your punches don't have the same effect. It happened to Broner. It happens to Miguel Cotto. It happens to all these fighters who are really strong and talented fighters. There are some fighters they'll get in there with, even at the higher weight classes, but they'll still be able to touch them up. But for the most part, they're not in there with landing the one-hitter quitters like they were accustomed to in the lighter weight classes. So let's see what happens with Shakir and Zapeda. But here you go, Shakir fans. I actually did a video talking about how Shakir can win, because don't think for a second that I don't feel he has no chance. But that 18 by 18 ring against a damn hurricane like Zapeda, to me, the stage is being set for for Shakir to lose. But if he can win underneath these conditions, this is a big damn deal. And people need to give Shakir his credit, because I think they're just setting him up to lose. Anyway, keep cool. I'm in the breeze.